School of Business at Medgar Evers College, City University of New York. It is indeed my honor and my pleasure to be before you. Earlier in my welcome address said I am honored to be here. I will just tell you why. The presentation before talked about the supercomputer and then the cells and how I got here personally. I'm old enough. I know many of you don't think about it, but I am old enough to have been born in segregation, okay? So that's the beginning of my life work. When desegregation came along, I was in high school, and when you're poor and everybody's poor, you don't know it, so it don't matter as much. But when we had integration, and I went to the high school, and I saw how other people lived, I didn't understand. And I took economics, but honestly, the people in the books didn't look like me. So when I went away to a college, and this is my undergraduate college, and I'm going to stop and get to and that's why I need my 5-minute warning. Well, when I went away to college, the University of Miami, I saw my very first Black economist who was hired by the university in the School of Business. And I said, I didn't know Black people could be economists. How did that happen? And I said, well, if he could do it, and that's why role models are so important. I said, if he can do it, why can't I? I loved economics from the very first time. And let me tell you what I loved about economics. It gave you both quantitative and qualitative tools, but more importantly, it helped me to study, and I am still studying. I don't know if I will ever learn this, but why so few people have so much, and it goes back to the Minister of Ghana, and so many people have so little. The inequity was inexplicable to me, and it's been my life's work. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the book, but more than the book, it's about the work that we do as scholars, as practitioners, and as government officials. Okay, so the title of the book actually is Sustainability and the Future of Work and Entrepreneurship for the Underserved. I got to give a little high praise to Dr. Dada. It was in a room like this in 2019 that my co-author and I, she was from Kenyatta University, we presented a paper called The Future of Work and Entrepreneurship for the Underserved. And why? We produced many good students in Kenya, in Brooklyn, that's where my school is. And we produced good students out of Chile, that was one of it, in Jamaica. But a lot of our students had problems getting jobs after they completed the 4 years of education. So all of us together started working and looking at alternative ways of self-employment and entrepreneurship. So that's the genesis of this body of work that we continue to do today. So in my, it is not moving? Am I, okay. I didn't move it hard enough. Okay, in the brief time I have with you to tell you about my life's work, I'll talk a little bit about access, equity, and disparities, global relationships, and that's what did it for us, the process we went about in cultivating this body of work. I'll talk about overview and the community growth strategies. We believe that a lot of what is going to happen in the future of work by definition must be bottom up as well as top down. And earlier today we heard about the resistance in the middle, but the middle is getting squeezed. So, and then we'll talk a little bit about book sections, chapters, chapter topics, and a new book that is coming out because of the success of the work that we were doing, and a summary and a call to action. I started saying, giving high praise to Dr. Dada, but in 2021, him and his group helped us publish the very first book, and we announced it at his conference as well, The Future of Work and Entrepreneurship for the Underserved. So Dr. Dada and his group has been really a great, more than collaborator, a great partner as we've gone along. Okay, so I did that wrong. I'm going the wrong way?
Yeah, you go the wrong way.
Okay. Oh, I've done that before. I've gone the wrong way. But now we're back on the path. Access, equity, disparities, socioeconomic disparities, and impact. And I start with the U.S. first because that is what drawn me into the work. You can look at disparities, and I have the data by income, by health, by businesses and communities. But any way you look at it in the U.S., the disparities are there. The reason I like to show this first chart is because it's so telling. It talks about, even though we've had all of this policy and work and funding and money, in the U.S., the disparity between blacks and whites, wealth, since the civil rights movement has gotten worse. Look at the data any way you want to cut it. So if everything we have been doing in the past and now is not working to change the needle, what are some of the things that we need to do to make that happen? And so some folks talk about the issue is just a developing country issue, that inequities are mostly in Asia and Africa. In truth, you see those parts of the map are darker. But the parts of the map that are lighter is not great at all either. In Russia, we heard a little bit about Russia today, and the US, 10% of the population control 50% of the income. And let me tell you what that means on the flip side. That means I and the other 90% are living on 50% of that income. And so that is what that means. And so how will it look in the future? Well, this is the population trends in the future. And as the darker parts of the map is, that's where the growth is happening. And the challenge for us, my colleagues, is the wealth is in other places, but the population is growing faster in Asia, Africa, and we heard today that India has some of the fastest growing population as well. So, how do we get to a place where we could work together and encourage our colleagues to be a part of the voices, the diverse and the complex voices on this really crucial issue? I'm not going to stand here and tell you that in terms of the future of work, there's not a lot of work being done. There is a lot of work being done. But the issue for us, my colleagues, is a lot of the work is not being done by voices and people who look like me and some of you. Okay, so it's part of our effort and to get other voices to talk about what are some of the research that you're doing, the community engagement that you're doing, the analysis that you're doing in your communities. How is that going to impact the future of work from your lenses? So that we have more lenses and more voices come to the table here. And so you see, we work with the U.S. Coalition of Black Women. For those of you who don't know, in the U.S., the fastest growing segment in entrepreneurship of Black owners is Black women business owners. And there are a lot of reasons for that. Black women are very successful in the corporate world. They go up so far, and if you don't know, there is still a glass ceiling for most women and for Black women. And what we found to be a trend is that the Black women are starting to go out. They have the experience, they've learned on their own dime, they've gotten credibility, and they go out and run their own businesses. And so that is a group that we partner with. I have been a dean at the School of Business at Medgar College for 8-9 years. And every year I have participated with the National HBCU Business Dean Roundtable. Earlier this year, I was selected to be the president of the HBCU Business. And I use acronyms for those of you who don't know. It's historically Black colleges and universities. There are 100 of them in the US. And most of them have business schools. And that's the organizations we're with. Now, I also have to say that there are organizations called PBIs, predominantly Black institutions. Medgar College is a predominantly Black institution. And the reason being is it takes a congressional designation and it was historical to be a HBCU. And once that designation was done, they don't do that anymore, and you're now either a minority serving institution, a PBI, or whatever else they are doing. And of course, our colleague, Dr. Dada and his group, we've been working with him, and also the UN. We have been working with the UNDP and another organization, I'd say, for 4 years. In fact, we're getting ready for the 77th General Assembly meeting now, and we will be having a session in the 77th General Assembly. So our collaboration is wide and it's very varied. Ability 2 is entrepreneurs who are veterans and have disabilities. So we have this network, and I'll continue. We have this network. I'm not going to call them out one by one, but we have this network of national and international colleagues. And so when we did our call for chapters, we had an overwhelming response. Our publisher said that they wanted a book of our publisher is IGI Global. I'm sorry I didn't say that earlier. And they contracted to us for 15 chapters. And mind you, they had saw the good work that Dr. Dada had helped us do, and that's when they made the offer. So we had 15 chapters, and when we did our call for chapters, there were 70 proposals for only 15 chapters. And so we said, okay, we won't worry about that. They won't write the full chapters. There were 40 full chapters that came back. We didn't have enough peer reviewers. We had to call on a lot of our friends. I think we had 20 peer reviews in the beginning, and we had to have 40 peer reviewers to help us calm down to what we was going to hope to be 15, but it ended up to be 19. And then what the publisher suggested we do afterwards was just have another book, and I'll talk about that later. So the first, we did a call for chapters. It's 19 chapters. And I'll just read you a little bit about the description. And my co-editor is Professor Micah Crump. He's his area of expertise is subject matter expert in entrepreneurship, specifically in entrepreneurship of minorities and Black businesses. Disparity in the workplace has been exacerbated in recent years as society faces a number of challenges in promoting inclusion and equality from fields. You've heard a lot about that this morning. To ensure appropriate steps are being taken to move in the direction of a diverse and an equitable future for the workforce, a lot has been said about the workforce globally. Further study and consideration on the key challenges, opportunities, and I stress strategies for advancing business policies to provide for the underserved is required. We could talk all day about the glass being half filled, half empty, but we like to look at the glass as being half full, meaning that there is so much work to do. Are we where we want to be? No. There's a lot of good work that has been done over the years, but we have so much further to go. We intentionally started the book on inclusion. We don't believe that you can get to a better place in the world unless you include everybody, and we together as we go. And there are 4 chapters in the beginning. It leads with empathetic leadership and how leadership, well, I got 3 minutes? Oh, I got to speed up, y'all. Okay, we start with inclusion, social demographic entrepreneurship. That's what we talk about: women-owned businesses, Black businesses, people with disabilities, and all others. Industry challenges, we talk about the supply chains and issues that have in terms of impact on. Now, okay, I completely went. It's completely. Oh well, my screen is bare. And then the last chapter is on technology. I'm fine. Let me keep going. The last chapter is on technology because we believe that technology, last chapter, last section, technology and innovation are drivers of this transformation that's coming, whether you want it to come or not. In one of the slides, you saw Alice being carried by the speed of what's happening. And if Alice doesn't run as fast, Alice and the rest of us will get left behind. So let's not get left behind. Let's keep moving. Those were the topics. All right, so this is the book that's coming. Those other chapters that didn't get in, and also a new call for chapters is in, will be in the next book. It's called Builds on the First, by discussing the journey of vulnerable communities in the pursuit of entrepreneurship. Why entrepreneurship? When you look at the new wealth in the world, not just, even in the U.S., but when you look at the new wealth, not the old money, the new wealth is coming out of entrepreneurship. And so what we say is, let's not be mad at that top 10%. Let's get with them. Let's get in there. Let's do it. Okay. All right. And so in conclusion, and I am well within my time, I know that now. We talked about equity and access and opportunities. We believe in leveraging diversity, not just talking about it. In the creativity that comes out of diversity. And finally, in capacity building. We don't want just one area, one country, one continent to have all the wealth. We want to mobilize by collaborating together. And we heard earlier about out of Africa, everybody just want the raw materials. And he was so right. You need to add value to add wealth. And if we together start changing that paradigm, we can really move the world. We believe that partnership, collaboration will accelerate future success. And I have beaten my time. Thank you.